It is mainly a demonstration, very less of discussion. I'll introduce you to the terms which are important to actually understand the papers which might be coming next, and also to actually show you different kinds of rhythms which can be played. I'll be, to a major extent, I'll focus on Carnatic music, and inputs on Hindustani music can be given either by Kaustubh or Suvarnalata madam. So probably. Huh? Oh, Punita, I'm sorry. Okay. So just stop me in case you see anything. You see anything which is not consistent with what you actually have actually studied it. So I'll just shift there so that it becomes easy for me. If you can handle the slides, thanks. Yes, I'll take it later. I'll come later. So mainly the topics for today is I'll just introduce you to concepts and a little bit of terminology, and I'll show you some basic examples of different talas, and move on to performance practices, which is actually the main component, because tala is just mathematics and what is actually played in a performance is the actual music which is played there, and then show you some advanced examples which actually build on the framework of talas to actually suit a performance and a composition in the actual context of a concert, and then actually move on to some problems of interest from a technical point of view. And I've kept it really very general. The problems of interest, it's really at a high level, and then your thoughts on that are most welcome. Okay, yeah. Can we move on? Yeah, that's right. So the way we can probably define a tala is it's a very broad rhythmic structure, and it's not very specific to actually render and repeat music phrases, motifs, or improvisations. So it is at a very high level that we have a tala, and anything which happens is at a level lower, which actually takes us to the tala being defined at multiple different time scales. The perception of rhythm, we have a very high level basic rhythm for the entire piece, and then you go one level lower and then say, okay, these are the patterns which I'll be playing at a shorter interval. Then you go one level lower, and then so you have multiple levels at which you can define rhythm, and I'll show you different levels here. And if you can move forward, just a list of instruments, most of you would have seen it. So I mean, tabla and pakwas are used in Hindustani music. The rest of them are used in Carnatic music, mainly. Just go on. Yeah. Okay. So this is what I call the 3 dimensions of rhythm in Carnatic music. I'll first focus on Carnatic music for a little while, and then move on to Hindustani music. So the tala is actually comes from the quantity, which is more, I would say, it's more philosophical in the sense of, they say it's an inherent rhythm which is present in music, and the way it manifests in front of you, or the way we actually can see that, is through a tala. The original manifestation of rhythm is called laya, which is inherently present in most of nature's processes, so to say, and in ergo also in music. But the way we actually bring it forth to the audience and to the musician is through a tala. So a tala is a really broad structure which can be perceived as a cycle, which is really long. I'll show you different cycles where there are considerable amount of phrase changes and motif changes and a lot of perceivable changes which can be seen at the end of every cycle. And in Carnatic music, tala is actually shown as a visual cue to the audience and to the musicians and among the musicians on the stage, using visual cues which are typically using our hand and using different angas. Angas are different ways of actually displaying in the cycle. So for example, I could take up a particular tala. So there are different ways of showing it. Mainly you have an accented beat and you have an accented similar to a Kali. This is called Dhruta is the entire thing. This is just an Anudruta, and this is just an empty without sound clap. And we also have what is called a Laghu. Laghu is a beat followed by you count your fingers, and counting can go on and on, so it can keep going. Actually, it can go up to 9 beats, which is you count your fingers twice pretty much. So this is a tala structure, and depending on the tala label, so to say, it has a different structure. So for example, the most basic tala, which is a cycle of 8, which is called the Adi Tala, has this structure wherein it's split up into 4 plus 2 plus 2, which is this 1, 2 and 3 and 4, and then I move on 5 and 6 and 7 and 8. So this is the way I count. So the primary intention here is that since the tala cycles are pretty long, when I have an 8-beat cycle, it is little difficult if I have to show it to the audience and to everybody. If I have to count it in a way that it's the easiest way to do it is this 8 times. So which is really hard because I need to know where exactly I am in the tala cycle. So one of the ways which was devised was this. This also has another connotation to which I'll in the sense of different talas have different variants in which depending on the number of counts you have on your finger, the tala changes. So it's in a way, instead of counting 8, if I have to count 9, what I would do is 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, and then 6, 7, 8 and 9. So this just counts 9 instead of 8. So we have specific definitions for each of these, and these actually define different talas. So on the next page I'll show you different examples. So the next aspect is called a nade. Nade, so we have a tala. So let's call, for our practical purposes here, let's call these beats. So for the example I gave you, the Adi Tala, which is a cycle of 8 beats. So the nade actually, or gati, defines the substructure of this particular beat. So the subbeat structure of what I'll be playing or what the composition actually is set in is decided by the nade at the subbeat level. So this is one level lower, this is subbeat, whereas a tala is suprabeat, or so to say a long-term structure, wherein there are 8 beats in a cycle, with each beat having 3 notes or 4 strokes or 5 notes, or depending on the nade which is present. And the third factor is called a kala. Kala is just a tempo multiplying factor, in which I would say, so this is my tala with 8 beats, and I have divided a beat into 3 strokes, but the 3 strokes need not be just 3, it could be a 6 or a 12. It's a multiplying factor, and that is what defines a kala. And kala can change over the composition, and it often changes, and even among the single cycle the kala changes. The first 4 beats I'll play it on the madhyama kala, or the usual kala. Then for the next 4 beats I'll double up the tempo and then play it at the next higher speed. So the last component, I don't particularly include it into the dimensions, because the last component is more of a convenience, and it is not present in the signal as such. So the tala can actually be seen in the signal, seen in the audio, but graha or an edupu, which is the syncopation, it cannot be seen directly in the signal. This is actually the phase, I would say, of the composition. So even though I have the tala to be this, I don't have the composition exactly aligned to that. I would have it start earlier or later, depending on the composition essentially, or it's usually done for ornamentation purposes, or to actually show different kinds of rhythm, wherein you can go offbeat and then join in and then come back to the cycle. Yeah, I'll give you an example of that as well. So these are different terms. This might be an overload of information, but just to I'll show you here. Here I actually define all of those.
One is within how you is it because of change so much and you said this kadai, kala is kadai.
Yeah.
One
So instead of one, you double up actually.
But when you said this way,
Hmm.
there is 1.5 times.
Yes.
So by that you would call the E and
No, it's not just 1.5. It's also
What he means by kala is
a multiplying factor.
you play 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You don't. I know one color. This is one color. One color means one.
So
has
it's
4.
this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
That's what he meant by kala.
So that's the double up factor.
Kalai is different.
What's kalai? I don't know.
One color and the color. When you put
Okay, that's
Aditalam with
yeah.
one beat per finger.
Yeah, I got that.
It's called one color. When you put it with 2 beats per finger, it's called.
as in thinking
Tishragati is 1 beat is 3 counts.
3 counts instead of. So
what I'm saying is you include it in Jati or you include it in Kadai.
so actually
Nadai.
that's an adai.
That will be part. Rendu kadai also become part.
No, that's actually a kala.
Tishra nadai is a nadai. Rendu kalai is 1 beat consisting of 8 counts.
But only rendu kadai is there.
Yeah, rendu kalai. 3 kalai becomes Tishra nadai.
Oh, rendu kadai immediately. That's what I'm asking. So
Exactly.
You don't usually yeah. So the entire premise of Carnatic music is based on these cycles, and the way you count them actually decides which tala it is, and the whole structure is so flexible that we can incorporate a lot of changes within the framework of tala. So a 9-beat cycle can be played as 3 into 3 or 6 plus 3 or a whole lot of things. And so let's just get back to this. This will actually clear up a lot of things, and then when I go to a demonstration, I can show you all of these so that you'll get a feel of what it is. So every tala has what is called a sama or sum in Hindustani music, which is the beginning of the cycle, which is quite important because that is the place where we'll see the maximum accent and the phrase change or most of the things, unless there's a small phase to the composition. Let me give you an example for phase because it might actually clear up some things. Say a phase for a composition is used for mainly convenience. For certain compositions, the syllables, if they do not fall on the beat, it might be a little difficult for the singer to actually sing it, which makes it a little harder. So say for example, can you sing Raghuvamsha Sada with 6-letter Edupu?
So it starts after 6 beats in the tala.
6 letters. 1, 2.
1, 2, 3.
Raghuvamsha Sudha. So if I actually had to sing this on the beat, it would be Raghuvamsha Sudham Buddhi Chandra Shri. It's difficult. So if I actually give a phase to it, Akita Raghuvamsha Sudham Buddhi Chandra Shri. So all the syllables actually fall on the beat.
And this is the structure of the composition. So it's a structure that is like tat tat tum tat tum tat tat tum tat tat. Raghuvamsha Sudha Buddhi Chandra. So when it starts after 6, the structure is maintained and it doesn't sound out of place. Whereas when you have to start this kind of structure of words, if you started at Raghuvamsha Sudha Buddhi Chandra, it doesn't sound right.
So most of the compositions are actually based heavily on the tala. So it's very natural to have this kind of a phase for different compositions. No, for everything actually, yes. The entire. No, you don't have to. It's just convenient that you do it here. In this case, you can still sing it directly from sama to sama. The phrase every time starts after 6 letters. No, it's just for convenience. So what I'm saying is, if you don't actually see someone actually giving a visual cue and just listen to this song, it is still an 8 cycle, 8-beat cycle, everything is still there. Except that if you want to follow it as using a visual cue, you need to give it a face so that it becomes easier for you to actually show the visual cue.
But Ajay, I don't know, I have a little observation. Because it's very collaborative and extensively.
Yeah.
Dikshidhar, for example, most of them start. Shyama Sastry, 90% start.
Yeah, I know. So that is why I say that it's not exactly.
So it's a great thing to do something after 6 beats. It was a really novel thing at that time. It's not something that's very easy. So because the whole Kirtana structure has to be at that structure after 6. It's something that's really phenomenal that Tyagaraja did. These people, they like, even Dikshidhar has some. So when in Tyagaraja started it from the Pallavi itself, from the starting of the song itself. These people have a progression. They start on the song, the next Anupallavi will be after 4 beats, the Charanam will be after 6 beats. So that depends on the composer's creativity.
So yeah, so I have actually touched upon most of these here. An akshara is actually a note or a stroke. We'll define all cycles in terms of the number of aksharas which are present. So we can call it strokes for ease here. And the angas are actually to traverse through the visual cue for the tala, so that it's easy for the musician and for the audience to actually get the tala. And kala is, vilamba is the slow tempo, madhyama and tivra. They are doubling up of tempos. And then the edupu is atita or anagata. Adita is actually, you can start before the sama actually starts, or anagata you could start later, just like the way he did it. It was later, it started after the cycle had already started, the composition. And what's usually the rhythmic phrases which we play on the mridangam and also in dance mainly are called solkatus, which are very similar to tabla bowls, and they are onomatopoeic, which means it actually sounds like you are playing the mridangam when you actually speak them. And there's a vocal art form which is called konakol, which is based out of this, in which you actually, the percussion there is your voice, and you speak out different syllables and then make percussive music out of it. And so we have different kinds of rhythmic phrases, and when I say rhythmic phrases, they need not be played on the mridangam, they could be sung, and they could have swaras, and they could have mridangam syllables, and both of them go hand in hand. And mainly the phrases which are played on the mridangam are the ones listed there. There are cyclic forms which actually start at a cycle beginning, end at the end of the cycle, and there are acyclic forms which actually start somewhere in the middle and then they are used to end the cycle. So these are mainly used as, I would say, they are actually the ones which complete the particular composition. So if there's a composition going on, if the phrase is about to end, I would end it with an acyclic form starting somewhere in the middle of the cycle. Or if I'm actually starting out with a composition, I would play a cyclic form which goes on and on as long as the phrase goes on. As soon as the stanza or the song ends, I would shift to an acyclic form and then stop it there. I'll give you an example of that as well. And rest of the terms I'll show you during the demo. So next. Akshara is actually a time unit. A solkatu is a syllable. So it's a matra. Akshara is a matra. Yeah. Yeah. So can you? So here. Okay. So this is the slide wherein we can actually understand a lot more about talas. So as I said, a tala is defined by its cycle period, which actually says the number of beats in the cycle, which I have listed there as P, and it's defined by the nade. The nade actually defines the number of aksharas which are present within each beat, which is called the small n there. And the total number of aksharas per cycle is decided based on the kala also. Kala actually doubles up the number of aksharas every time you multiply, and totally you can calculate the total aksharas in a cycle as n, capital N, to be nkp. So this is a kind of, so if I give an example of Adi Tala, which is an 8-beat cycle, which if you actually play it in the Tishra Nade, in which the counting would be 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3. So this is the counting I'll do, in which case it becomes 3 into 8 24. This is for the kala, which is the vilambita kala. If I actually double up the kala, it becomes 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3, and it doubles up. So based on the number of letters which are there in the entire cycle, I will choose the different types of rhythmic phrases I'll be playing, and depending on the composition which is being actually sung, the rhythmic accompaniment would actually choose the different phrases to be played there. And different nadais have different rhythmic phrases which we play, and different sets of swaras which are actually sung in the particular composition. So if we understand this, probably we can look at some examples now. So I don't think you need an introduction to the mridangam. It's a two-sided drum, where the left side is a bass, and the right side is actually tuned to the tonic. Let me switch it on first. So the way you choose a tala is, the composer chooses a tala, of course, but there are different things which you can do there. So there are basically, as they were telling, 5 different jatis. Jatis are different forms in which a particular tala can be set in. There are 5 different jatis, and as we saw, there are lagu changes, yes. So you could have different nadais. There are 5 different nadais: a triple meter, a quadruple meter, a pentuple meter, a septuple meter, and a nonuple meter. Essentially, I'll show you all of those here. And there is a kala. So a tala would be chosen based on all these factors. And so a particular jati, a particular tala label would have a particular way of actually showing it. And there are 7 such basic talas. So 7 each of them have 5 different forms, which can be played in 5 different nadais. So it's 5 into 5 into 7, which comes to pretty much like 175. And talas which can be normally played, but as we can see, if you can go back one slide, there are mainly these 4 talas which are often played. One is the Aditala, which I already showed you, and it's played in both a Chaturashra Nade, which is a quadruple meter, quadruple subbeat structure, and a triple subbeat structure, both of them which I showed. And there's a Rupaka Tala, which is a 3-beat cycle. It is counted this way: 1, 2, 3. So if I actually play this in Chaturashra, actual Rupaka Tala, yeah. Actual Rupaka Tala is a 6-beat cycle. The Rupaka 2, which is shown there, it starts this way: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is the beat structure. If I actually play this in Chaturashra, it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's 24 aksharas in a particular cycle. And Khanda Nade would go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so on. Mishra Nade would go the same way. And there are 2, I would say, there are different forms of the original 175 talas. These 2, which are most popularly used, they are Mishra Chapu and Khanda Chapu. They are odd meter talas, in which a Mishra Chapu has 14 letters in the cycle. In a way, it's a form of 7. The way I would count it, usually to split it up into 3 and 4, in which I would say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is an easier way to count it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So it's 14 letters. And Khanda Chapu is again 5. It has 10 letters essentially. The way you count that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's the way you count Khanda Chapu.
Chapu is actually not tala.
It's not exactly a tala.
Putting the tala.
It's just a way of actually counting something which is 5. So I could as well count that as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Instead of doing that, I just do it this way because it's a little more convenient to actually, after a lot of practice, of course, it's a little more convenient to use this form of the tala. Yeah, so.
And as you said, the way you subdivide does not change the tala.
The way I subdivide does not change the tala, no.
So you can have this chapter like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, or 1, 2, 3, 1, 2.
It's still called a 7-bit cycle. So, okay. So the basic idea is as long as the cycle length remains the same, and I personally do not see any difference in the way you actually show it to the audience as long as the number of the structure remains the same.
This is one big point of difference between North Indian and Kannada.
Yes, I'll actually come to that. There's one slide on actually which compares the two systems, and then yeah. So okay. So let me actually. So the most common rhythmic phrases which are played in each of these talas. I'll take the most popular talas. Adi tala is an 8-beat cycle with 4 aksharas in each subbeat, and a teka is a slow form of exposition of the tala, which is used when the composition is actually in its slow tempo. And a jati is an exactly the same kind of an exposition, whereas it's a little faster and it's used on faster compositions. Typically what is done is a composition when it's introduced, it's usually slow, so you start playing a teka and then you move on to a jati, and I'll actually show that and then see. So this is for an adi tala. If you can count with me, it will be great. So it's just an 8-beat cycle. No, I can manage. I want everyone to actually put the tala. So you can follow Vignesh. Vignesh is pretty good at it.
Put the tala and be like
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or if however convenient, you can just count 8 the way anybody. So you can count it in teen tal kind of a rhythm. Okay. This is my metronome. So what I did there was to actually play 4, 4, 4, and then on the last 2 beats I doubled up the tempo. So So this is an Aditala Teka. If I want to play an Aditala Jati, just to contrast, I'll play as one cycle of Teka and then move on to a Jati. So I showed you a couple of jatis there actually. One is a 4, 4, 4, 4 kind of jati, and so different forms of the same jati, and the jati is chosen based on the composition. So even the teka is chosen based on the composition. So just like the way I showed you this, I can change the teka also. So in a way, I'm instead of splitting it as 4 and 4, I'm splitting it as 3 plus 2 plus 3. So that's another way of playing the same. So when I say 4 aksharas can be played as 4 aksharas, or I can play, I'm just leaving out the second and the fourth letters, or I can play. So I'm playing the first two and then leaving out the next two. So the
Like singing that you can show them how do you start a piece, how do you vary your teka or the jati based on what it's singing.
yeah, so the teka or jati which is chosen completely depends on the composition and the way it's played and the way composition goes on. And these rests which I actually showed you now, the rests, they are called korves or karves, and they are an integral part of the way we play it. So an 8 can be played as 4 and 4, or a 3 and 5 with a 3 being a gap. You don't play anything there, but you just play 1 2 3 1 2 3. So the gap which I left saying 1 2 3, the 3 akshara pramanas of gap, that's called a karve. It need not be 3, it could be 2, and these are different ornaments you play. So if the composition starts off somewhere and then so first time I played a 3 plus 5, but now I played a 2 plus 6 at the end. So these are all different combinations which I've listed there as phrase combinations which can be played, and so that's the way an improvisation is done on a mridangam.
Here, 5s and 6, there are certain ways to say the way they play them, the way you perceive them.
Yes.
So 5 would be tadi kinatom. 6 would be tadi kinatom. 1 2 3 1 2 3. So tadi kinatom. 7 will be like tadi kinatom. 1 2 3 4 1 2 3. Tadi kinatom. That will be your 7. And your 8 will be tadi kinatom. 1 2 3 1 2 3 4 5. That is your 8. Your 9 will be tadi kinatom. Or tadi kinatom. 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 5. These are the way you perceive it. 5 3 5 7 9.
So essentially we have the total number of letters in a cycle, and we are free to improvise within the framework of the cycle, and the only restriction is that the mridangam closely follows the composition which is being sung. As long as that restriction is met, mridangam is very free to improvise, which actually leads to the whole point of a visual cue which is being necessary for me to play. Without a visual cue, I can still play it, but then I would probably go wrong if I'm actually playing a 3 plus 5. If there is nobody to actually tell me that there is an 8 which has happened and then you should stop here, I would still go on. So that's the whole reason why you need a visual cue. So the cost of the visual cue, I mean the cost of allowing you to totally freely improvise is that there is some timekeeper who is required for the entire song. So let me quickly show you a jati for Rupaka Tala. Rupaka is a 3-beat cycle. So it's this.
Look at the convenience of putting Rupaka. You can actually call it Rupaka chop.
1 and 2 and 3. So this is a Rupaka Tala, which is a 3-beat cycle. I can split it up. It has 12 letters totally in the cycle, so I can split it up as 4 plus 4 plus 4, or 6 plus 6, just like the way I did it, or as 3 into 4. So 3 into 4 would be this. In a way, this is an example of Tishanade, which is.
Yeah.
So there is a.
This thing, Rupaka Tala and Jishanade Adi Tala are the same. Because
So a 4 into 3 can be 3 into 4.
So you can show you that.
Yeah.
Play Adi Tala Jishanade. Okay, start small. Okay, just continue changing it. So it's the same. So 12 into 2 is 24, 3 into 8 is 24. So there are some compositions that can be sung in Aditala Krishnanadi, that is 3 into 8, and in 12 into 2.
So the basic inherent structure is the same.
Virana Vadiniji, or there is a composition called Himadri Sute. Some people sing it like
Himadri Sute, it's sung in Rupaka Talam.
Himadri Sute, Himadri Sute,
Takketta, takketta.
This is 3 into 8. Some people sing it like Himadri Sute So it comes into cycle even when you sing it with 4.
Right. So
3 into 8.
So that's Rupaka Tala. So quickly, a Mishra Chapu is a 7-beat cycle. So I initially played it's a signature kind of a phrase. Then I played a small little teka, and then I played a jati. So just to show different ways of actually playing the same tala. And Kanda Chapu is again the same. Four plus 2, 4 plus 6. Can you slow down? So this can be split up into 2 plus 3, which is what? Takka, takketa, takka, takketa. Or it could be tangutaddi, 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 tang. In which I doubled up and I played a jati instead of a teka. So so let me show you all the nades very quickly. I'll take a 4-beat cycle. For example, say let's take the Ekatala, which is just 1 hit plus 3 fingers. It's a 4-beat cycle, pretty easy to follow. I'll play all the nades in the 4-beat cycle. So let's start with probably Chaturashra. So I initially played a Chaturashra nade, then actually I shifted to a Tishra nade, which has 3 beats or 6 beats, 6 letters per cycle. So I initially played. So that was a Takita Dingu. A Takita Dingu is a korve again, which means it's a 3 plus 3, which makes it 6. So instead of that, I played a Takita Dingu, Takita Dingu, Takita Ding.
So you fill up your, so instead of saying many syllables or playing many syllables, you fill it up with the gap. Of that
And then that gaps the
number. So Takita Tang, Takita Tang, Takita
1, 2, 3.
You don't say that, but you leave a gap of 3 over there.
So the way you actually combine these phrases give you the kind of different groove feeling, so to say. So Takita Dingu would give you a different groove feeling compared to Tangutta di Tangu. So both of them are actually same 6 letters and pretty much everything together. Yeah, so a Khanda Nade would go this way. So initially I played dim ta dim dim ta dim dim ta dim dim ta dim. Dim ta dim is again a 5-letter phrase which you can play. It has a lot of it has a gap. So dim ta dim has a gap. And then I played taka takita taka takita taka takita taka takita. It's 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3 4 5. So this is the way you play different nadai and different talas, different nadais. It's a kind of 3-dimensional kind of a space in which you can pick out a tala and then create a composition in that and then have an accompaniment in that. So yes.
So you have your 4 Aditara. So you can say a 4/4 in a Tishra Nade also. That is keeping per beat 3 constant, you can say a 4. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is normal. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2,
3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1.
So essentially,
Now in 3. Because you're saying 4s and 3s. So come in 3 cycles.
he's changing the nade essentially. It's just this way. Taka de na 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 taka de na. It's 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4.
All. So you want to show. Okay.
Sure.
See, there are Pallavi. So when we sing a line, when we improvise in a Pallavi, you can sing all the nadais. So generally the Krishna Nade that is singing the Pallavi, keeping 3 beats, 3 letters in a beat constant. It's very, very common to be done. So suppose you have a Pallavi in Todi, it's like that is set for 4, I sang in spaces of 3 per akshara, 3 aksharas per beat, and I sang it in 3. When you sing it for 3 cycles, it comes back to the starting. That's called Nadai variation. You can do this for 5, you can do this for 7, you can do this for 9. Very complicated structures. So you can do half 3, half 4. You can do various things. It's based on your mathematical creativity.
It should sound nice. End of the day, it should sound nice. So, can we move on? Little. Okay. Yeah. I'll do it actually. The final Muktaya is completely there. Muktaya doesn't exactly vary with the composition. I mean, in a way, if for expert musicians actually it changes. It's the short Muktayam.
Chord doesn't vary with composition. Depending on the rhythm,
the short Muktayam which we play at the end of the phrase.
It depends on the composition.
Of course.
Like at the end of the composition, what you'll play, suppose stop a composition, you'll have to play some. That's not up there, that's up there. That will vary with the composition which is creativity.
So we have an unmetered alapna which exactly does not have a meter but still has an inherent rhythm, of course. And all compositions are set to a particular tala and a nadai. And that defines the broad structure for the composition, and within the composition there can be nadai changes or kala changes most likely, Nade changes are rare, Kala changes are pretty often, which means you initially start slowly. There are certain parts which you sing really fast, double up the speed, then go back to the original speed. Yes. The entire cycle and the subbeat structure is fixed.
So the way you divide the cycle to play is fixed?
No. The way I divide the cycle is not fixed. The total number of letters in the tala is fixed. So when I say I am playing a composition in
The beat must have a particular place.
I mean that
You define the player. Down to the
right. So it's not fixed as such. No. It's not.
Improve. He has to come to the beat. That's all. Within the 24 seconds for him it is free, completely free. He just has to keep in mind that 32 beats. He can do whatever he wants in that 32.
So-
Might be out of sync with what you're saying.
That might be auto sync. Mathematically, it is correct for him.
Then it's very clear. The beat and the
Yeah, so that's the second point there. Swara and Sahitya match the tala closely, and whatever is played on the percussion also matches the Swara and Sahitya very closely. So that is to actually ensure that it's actually musical rather than totally offbeat and
We told you the other day,
out of the
the Ksha word is being highlighted. That depends
And-
on his creativity.
right. So let me actually give you a short example here, pretty fast. So just to say, so do you know Varamulosaki? I pardon my singing. My singing is really bad, but so this is an example in which there's a particular swara prastara, which is a movement of notes, and the way a mridangist would actually follow it. So it really helps to actually know the composition beforehand. To actually play it, though there is a lot of scope for improvisation, the improvisation can be pretty close to the composition. So, example. Garre sa ni da ni, ni sa ni da pa da, da ni da pa ma. So I'm not singing to the Shruti. I can't go to G and then sing. So that's why I ask for your pardon actually. I know. So this is a short example in which there is a 7-3-7-3-7 kind of a swara pattern here, a 7 letter followed by a 3 letter gap. So the way I would play it is so I pretty much followed exactly what the swara pattern was. This would happen only if I knew the composition before, or if I anticipate what's coming next based on my mathematical skills. Oh, as soon as he plays a 7, to actually complete the cycle, he's going to play a 7-3-7-3-7. So if I can do this kind of a calculation on the spur of the moment, I can play it. Otherwise, I can still stick to the original jati which I was playing, which would probably be this, and it would still fit the particular composition. So it's up to the virtuosity and the expertise of the percussionist to actually do an accompaniment. And let's move a little more quickly probably. So the lead following, which is the main task of the mridangam, is to actually, it uses the visual cue from the main artist, and rhythmic accompaniment is not composed but on the spot improvisation based on the basic framework of the tala. And as I said, there is no timekeeping responsibility, so mridangist is free to improvise. And the choice of syllables is in correlation with the swara and sahitya. If the composition is actually pretty slow, I would not choose to play a faster jati, and so it's like that. And an acyclic form such as a muktaya is an acyclic form which begins somewhere in the middle of the cycle but takes you to the end of the cycle, is played at the end of every phrase. So this is an example muktaya. That's the end of the phrase. So I was playing a jati and I knew that the phrase is going to end, so I would end it with a muktaya to actually give you a finishing touch. And so the regions of melodic improvisation, the kalpana swaras, are most often matched by the mridangist based on his or her virtuosity, and an expressive performance involves a mutual understanding between the lead and the accompaniment, and all the other accompaniments actually follow the mridangam. Yeah, so that's.
So who actually gives the time? Who's
The lead artist usually keeps the time. The lead artist, the main melodic voice, the main voice actually keeps the time.
So that's quite difficult to judge.
It is.
Very different.
Yes. So.
But the leader is violinist.
So he'll still, in that case, it's most of the time complementary.
Stage putting tala for a while.
Yeah.
But they also, violinist will also do it like this.
For violinist will keep his tala in his mind by putting it to the field. But
So they'll use-
he needs someone else to put tala. Sriram Kumar got nothing.
Okay, yeah.
Manchira keeps the basic 4 or 5 or something. That during bhajans when the tala is not that.
Sometimes the leaders start, sometimes the violinist, and the violinist.
Oh, for a concert you're talking. That depends. Because when the mridangist is playing, the violinist is free.
So-
He or she wants to do the tala.
And the vocalist is free, he will do that.
And I think during the composition, most of the time there are not large scale, I mean, not drastic improvisations which are done so as to actually keep to the spirit of the composition, so that you don't go out of the actual rhythm in the
He
composition.
gets full freedom during his rhythm and solo after the main song.
Yeah, so which is where most of the things are used.
So that it is my responsibility to keep proper tala so that he can play properly. Because if I put something wrong, he would be playing it right, even though it will still look like his mistake. So it's my responsibility.
So it's a complex interplay between the lead musician and the accompaniment, and the Tala framework allows for this kind of an improvisation. I'll play a Taliyavatanam next. So, oh yeah, I'm playing a Korupu actually, which is exactly that. So next, so this I covered it in the previous slide actually. Let's move on. So let's actually see a short Korupu. A Korupu is a short form in which we start out with longer cycles of playing, and it typically it becomes smaller and smaller, and then everybody joins in, and then it's played. It's typically played with multiple instruments, so I'll use 3 voices here. One is the mridangam, and the other is the morsing, and I'll use my voice as a konakol artist. So there might be a small lag, or I might miss out. Please actually bear with that. I just want to show this because this is a characteristic way of actually playing it.
I'll do Konakol, you play. So at least keep the tala there. Because
Okay.
it's one cycle. So the Korupu is like, first you stop at one cycle, then you stop at half a. He'll play for one cycle, I'll play for one cycle.
So it's a duel
Then
among the 3 musicians. I mean, it's a trial. Okay.
it's not a duel, it's a competition.
Yeah.
So he plays for one cycle, I play for one cycle. Then he plays for half cycle, I play for half cycle. Then he plays for quarter cycle, I play for quarter cycle. If you can subdivide it even more, you subdivide it even more.
And then you join.
He continues and plays the whole big thing. And that is followed by something called a mohra, that is an embellishment, and a korve, that is a mathematical calculation to come to
Which actually is shown there. The number of aksharas which I've actually shown there. So I can do it actually. You can just keep the tala. I have practiced this, so I'll be able to do it. It's a rupaka, and go a little slow so that I can switch between instruments faster. Then. Tataka de nataka de metaka jarno de meta de me de naku de meta de me de naku tarango den tadden tarango den tadden tarango den ta. Tam tataka de nataka de metaka jarno denkeda takadena denkeda takadena takadena tam takadena tam tataka de nataka de na tam tataka de na tarango den ta dem tadena tango tatadena So, so thanks.
Very difficult to do that.
No, that was just it's usually played among 3 musicians, and this is played in a percussion solo, wherein each player would get a limited amount of time to actually improvise, and the accompanying instruments follow the mridangam. What I played on the mridangam, I actually spoke it out, and then I played it on the morsing, and then reduced the number of cycles, and then ended it. Yeah. So. One final example, this might be a little difficult to actually grasp directly, but if done in a proper way, it can show us what exactly is the phase of the Muktaya. Actually, in fact, I can speak it out so that it gets a little easier, and then I'll play it quickly, and then we can move on really quick. So this is what is called a Muktaya. This is called a grand finale of percussion solo, so to say, wherein every instrument joins in, and then you play something which is it's a long phrase which is played 3 times, and then you ensure that it comes back on the cycle at the end of the beat. So in a way, if you have your 32 beat cycle, which is the plain Aditalam, it has 32 letters, and if I actually take 4 cycles of those, it comes to about 256 letters, and if I add 2 so that I get a phase of 2 letters, it goes to 258, and then that I can divide it by 3, which comes to about 86, I would say. So if I place a long phrase for 86 letters and play it thrice, it would start on the Sama, which is the 0th beat, and then end a little 2 letters after the after 4 cycles. So this is probably an example. Okay, yeah. So I'll say it so that you can actually follow it later and then see that it really happens, or I did not actually mess up, and then did not go slow so that I ended up later. So de tang keda digu tari keda taga den ta den keda taga de tang keda digu tari keda taga den ta den keda taga tari keda de tang keda digu tari keda taga den ta den tading genato tading genato tading genato de tang. Oh, missed again. See, messed up. Okay, sorry. De tang keda digu tari keda taga den ta den keda taga de tang keda digu tari keda taga den ta den keda taga tari keda de tang keda digu tari keda taga den ta den tading genato tading genato tading genato tading genato tading genato tading genato de tang keda digu tari keda taga den ta den de tang keda digu tari keda taga den ta den keda taga tari keda de tang keda digu tari keda taga den ta den tading genato tading genato tading genato tading genato tading genato tading genato de tang keda digu tari keda taga den ta den keda taga de tang keda digu tari keda taga den ta den keda taga tari keda de tang keda digu tari keda taga den ta den tading genato tading genato tading genato tading genato tading genato tading genato ta den. So 2 letters off. So I started on beat and then ended 2 letters later. So this actually, if you notice it, it had a faster initial phrase, which if I'll just play it first quickly. So it had.
The song starts somewhere around the song.
Huh.
And what do you finish it with? When does he start singing?
That's what it is.
So I left it at the Idapo, right? Yeah, so if it had a 2-letter. So that is what I'll do. If at all he was actually singing Raghuvamsha Sudha and then he actually asked me to play the Tani for that, what I would do is to actually take not 258 letters, but I would play 260 letters. So that I actually leave it 262, so that I actually leave it to him at the exact place where he left me. So, which is 6 letters.
Tanis don't have to end on the song.
No, Tanis don't end
The
up.
song is not sacred.
So some is not sacred. So I mean this has a curious point here, in the sense of it's a measure of a percussionist's capabilities to actually play it not on the beat but from a sum to an edupu like this.
From the vocal song, not the...
So
From the tala sum to the song sum.
songs sum is 6 letters after the.
The supremacy is for the song.
So
Yeah, of course.
song is
So
starting
the
sum.
lead is always the main thing. The song is always the primary thing.
Always a challenge for us.
What happens when you do all something that way that you ask them to do speech and all that?
So again, it's the same thing there. I can't play a Sankirtana Nade RTP. Probably, I mean, I'm not trained that much, but yeah. So it's the basic ideas are still the same, except that so as long as you are within the framework of the tala and your mathematics is right, you'll end up being fine. Yeah. So I Chaturashra Tishra example, I just wanted to show it, but then it was already shown. So it's just this. I missed it. Okay. So it's. So it's I played 4 times, and then I played 4 into 4, and then I switched to Tishra Nade, which would have 3 letters, and then 3 into 4 would still be 12. So that's just an example. It's just this is more of an ornament rather than. So yes, that's it's done most of the time. It's so, for example, if you take say a small common bhajan, Tamburi Meeti Dava or something like that, this kind of a nade variation is done towards the end to actually end the song in a totally different note as in totally different style rather than actually playing it in the original style. So these are all just for ornamentation and to increase the expressiveness of the performance. So yeah, so I'm almost done actually. Did I overshoot? I think I have, by a large extent. Okay, I don't have gone. So there are, I would say, terms which have same analogy probably. The avat, sam, matra, vibhag, or avatanam, which is the cycle period, sam, sama, and then matra is akshara, vibhags are angas. And the way a tala is not exactly shown, but when we learn to play a particular tal, we learn it with the actual angas, with a thali and a khali, which are similar to the way we, which are pretty much, I would say, complementary to the way it's counted in Carnatic music. And there are again cyclic forms which can be go over the entire cycle. A Theka, Prakar, a Lagi or a Kaida, or acyclic forms which are Mukra or a Tihai. Tihai is again whatever I played at the end, the one which played at the high speed 3 times so that it comes back to the sum. The difference here being that since tabla has the timekeeping responsibility, during a composition, tabla is mostly plays a known Theka or a Prakar so that the composition can go on. And during an improvisation, even though there is no visual cue, the lead singer would actually prompt the tabla player to, if I go wrong anywhere, just stop me, so that the lead singer would indicate the sum so that the tabla player can keep coming back to sum and then keep playing it. So all this improvisation whichever I showed can also be done on the tabla, and much more actually. Tabla improvisations are really beautiful.
Major
Yeah, so can you move to the next? These are some MIDI examples. I don't want to show them because they're really bad. So I just want to say that there are MIDI tabla examples. They don't even sound like tabla, but so right. So this is the slide I was talking about. So similarities, there is a chance of improvisation within the limits, of course, and percussion is tuned. I have a tonic here, and there is no absolute tempo in both systems of music, and both share a similar kind of multi-time scale kind of similarity wherein you can define hierarchical rhythms. The difference comes in terms of a tal definition itself, wherein Hindustani tal is a little more specific and more precisely defined and a little less flexible because of the timekeeping responsibilities, which would mean a theka characterizes tal, so to say, or a tal has an associated theka, whereas a Carnatic tala doesn't have an associated theka. So there are only recommended thekas. So I can play at least 8 different thekas in Adi tala, whereas a teen tal would have a basic theka which everybody knows, okay, this is definitely teen tal, and they would move on from there. No? Uh-huh. Yeah, that's the skeleton, yes.
During performance, it might be that only 2-3 the silence is also a bit.
Yes. Yeah.
Not the thing that's
No, of course. That's just the skeleton.
always there, like in every part of the cycle.
Yeah, but not just that, there are also many different taals in 16 beats, for example.
Yes,
or
right.
14 beats.
Like ha, then tha, tha,
Then tha tha.
then ta, ta, ta,
Tak
and
tak
ta,
tak
then
tak.
then ta, then tha, then ta, then equal. Then
So that's why I said it's more specific. So
I'm
so
talking about like Tilwara and
Tilwara is again 16 beats.
So the same number of beats can make completely different.
That's because of the way it's divided. The way it's divided actually changes the tala, but the way it's divided doesn't change the tala in Carnatic music.